NelsonJoypad.com bring you another original.
Hey everyone, Trevor Anderson here. Welcome to my first video where I'll be overanalyzing the biggest news in video games. Today, we're going to be looking at Hideo Kojima's new trailer, Death Stranding. And we're going to try to understand what the hell it is that we just watched. Let's go! So the video starts with a quote from William Blake's poem, Auguries of Innocence, saying, "To see a world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wildflower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour." Now if you're nodding your head right now, it's because you're full of crap. No discussion, just stop it. You see, most Blake scholars agree that this poem is just about as meaningful as I Am the Walrus. Sure, we can take away some ideas from it, like transcendental vision and the impossibility of holding infinity in your finite hand, but what does it really mean? Well, perhaps it's not supposed to mean anything. Perhaps it's just yellow matter custard dripping from a dead dog's eye. Maybe analyzing this video is exactly what Hideo Kojima wants out of me. I'm still going to, of course. I mean, hey, what else am I gonna do? Analyze that Batman VR trailer? No. So we start out with low roars, "I'll keep coming." The chorus saying, "Waiting for my words, seen but never heard, buried underground, but I'll keep coming." The camera pans over black sand. We see some skeletal remains, an almost alien look to them at first, before slowly revealing a ton of dead crabs. As the song lyrics kick in, a large handprint pushes the soft sand down, quickly filling with oil. The hands crawl across the surface to a naked Daryl Dixon. He's wearing smart handcuffs, I guess for keyless entry or something, and has what looks like an XLR cord coming out of him to a baby who is also apparently needing attention. The handprints slowly circle the baby before finally landing just outside of their head. Daryl's body is dirty, but it appears to have been touched by many different sets of hands. He lifts the baby up to his chest, pain filling his face. He rocks in frustration before suddenly the baby disappears from his hands, which are now covered in oil. As small baby-sized handprints appear on his leg, they walk away from him, causing him to stand up and reveal the worst C-section ever. Suddenly we cut to the Exxon Valdez incident, with a lot of oil-soaked animals washed up onto the shore and 5 floating people in the sky. You know, a normal Thursday. This area looks a lot like Goat Rock Beach, which is about 8 hours north of Los Angeles and a little west of Sacramento. In this scene that pans up and becomes our closing shot, we can see a red fire glow coming from both sides of the frame, indicating that these 5 figures are not only supernatural but possibly demonic in some way. We can also see ice caps floating along the coastline, slowly drifting southbound if this is the Atlantic, which would also mean the sun is setting. The 5 entities disappear, and we're left with what looks like Al Gore's living nightmare. So what does it all mean? Who freaking knows? Honestly, if you think you get it, I believe that you're grasping at a bunch of little straws that Kojima has perfectly placed out. The birth trauma, the environmental subtext, and the religious symbolism, it's all there just to paint a false impression of what this game really is. Kojima is good about this. Remember how Venom Snake was portrayed in Metal Gear Solid 5's trailer? Do you remember Snake throwing a sparkling Raiden out of the Metal Gear Solid 4's E3 trailer? Metal Gear Solid 2 being set on a tanker? Obviously, Kojima likes messing with his audience, and I feel this trailer is no exception. Perhaps it has nothing to do with the final product. But you came here for an explanation, so I'll try. Given that the beach looks like it's on the northwestern coastline, I'm going to assume this is California. I also think this trailer might be more personal than about the game. Perhaps the 5 floating men represent his 5 numbered entries in the Metal Gear Solid series, and the 6 dog tag-like pendants around his neck symbolize the other games he worked on, such as Police Knot, Snatcher, Zone of the Enders, Castlevania, PT, and Silent Hill, games that he can never come back to. The baby represents Kojima's passion for those projects, the reality that he can never return to them now since they've been ripped from him. Perhaps the destroyed coast represents the greed that runs through the gaming industry, Big Oil being a natural comparison. His fancy cuffs being the binds that kept him locked up in Konami's cage, that put all of heaven in a rage. The handprints representing the admiration of his fans, the only thing he can do is let go and keep moving forward. So to recap, perhaps none of this is in his final game, and maybe this is as relevant as his other early trailers. Perhaps this is just part of his process until he discovers what the game is really about. Or maybe he's just messing with us and wants to take the piss out of us. I just highly doubt we're going to be playing a naked Norman Reedus, the first man to ever give birth to a digital baby, only to have it taken from him by 5 floating oil executives. The only thing I do know is that this will all make sense in the end. With Kojima, it always does.
It's looking great.